about 4 years now.
How long have you been with the company?
About 2.5.
I think you'll get married.
What's the pretty much the concept of the company?
We come up with cutesy, artsy, pop culture references, and we have our own original characters as well. So we do a lot of mashups. We're known for our mashups.
So what type of characters do you typically use?
It just depends on how we're feeling. We have some Dragon Ball Z stuff, some characters we made up. We got like this guy says I'm on the ninja diet, so can't really beat that. Yeah, of course. T-Turtle.
What do you think,
turtles?
Sure, my name is Brian Bird.
Okay. And tell me a little bit about your company.
You bet. Well, we are Total Party Kill Games. We are a Pathfinder compatible and Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition compatible publisher. We're from Iowa, and we make very dark, challenging fantasy adventures. That's kind of where we got started. So like our stuff, we grew up on all the old school D&D stuff. And early D&D was very challenging. Like, characters died all the time, but that was half the fun, right? And eventually, as the game grew, and so did the audience, it became a little easier. But we like to keep that really harsh, really fun, adrenaline-pumping kind of feeling that you get playing the old school games, but we use all the new rules. So it's a really unique mashup of old school meets new school rules.
So I see you have a bunch of books here. You talked about the games, but are these like comic books or these?
No, these are rule books.
Rule books, okay. Because I was like,
yeah. So for instance, we have the new Dungeons & Dragons Player's Handbook, right? All right. This is a core rule set for playing tabletop role-playing games. Okay. And then what all this other stuff is expansions to the rules. So the new options for your players.
Or your GMs.
Yeah, or the GMs. Yep. Or new adventures that you could run using those rules, like stories, if you will. That the guy who runs the game, they tell the story. The players are the characters like in the story, if you think of it that way.
Think of it in terms of being a little more active. So a lot of media is passive. You're a passive participant. You sit on the couch, you sit in the in the theater, you watch it, you go, man, don't run left, that's where the killer is. But you don't have you have no say in what's going on because you're a passive participant. Am I good? But with like D&D, with role-playing games, Pathfinder, Savage Worlds, D&D, Rifts, whatever, you now take control. You are now an active participant, and so it's a collaborative community experience. You're sitting at a table with 4 of your friends.
It's very social
rolling dice. It's the media kind of like traditional media would paint it as being very antisocial. You get the nerd in the basement, and we'll make fun of that just like anybody else. But the reality is, you're talking about a system like a hobby that encourages interaction. You can't be a passive participant. You have to take control of your character. You have to work with your group and your storyteller to get the best experience out of it. So it encourages like a positive social structure for people to interact with. And for a lot of gamers are intelligent.
Yeah.
Sometimes they feel ostracized. Role-playing games are a great way to bring them out of their shells and get them talking to. I mean, look around at the convention.
Yeah.
You got fans from everywhere interacting, and it's the same way with gaming. So I can't speak for Brian, but when I design games, I'm aiming for fun, and I'm aiming to get people involved. I want them having fun and sitting down.
Yeah, I joke about it all the time. It's like, I love D&D and Pathfinder and the tabletop role-playing games, but it's half of it is just hanging out with my buddies. So this is just like, you get together and watch football with your friends. It's the same kind of thing. This is the glue that makes you and your friends hang out, So
okay, so what is your name and what do you do?
My name is Lauren Moore. I'm one of the social media coordinators at Funimation.
Okay. How's your experience been here at Anime Milwaukee so far?
It's been pretty great. We actually get to travel all over the U.S. and Milwaukee specifically is one of my favorites. So Milwaukee's like a really, really cool city. I just like coming and being here. And then Anime Milwaukee is always really nice. Like the people are super cool. Like it's a really great vibe. Like the whole weekend just had such a good vibe. So yeah, we travel everywhere, and honestly, Milwaukee is definitely one of my favorites.
Want something, buy it. As soon as you see it, it might not be here the next day.
I know.
That's good to know. Thank you for
I was telling Dave.
Oh, I
the
thought
tips.
you were like...
You know.
Now, are all these,
This got a lot more passion than it was last year.
Yeah.
I asked if I was allowed to sample.
oh my God, I feel like a big ass kid. Name?
My name is Kaylee Campbell.
Yeah.
I work with Sentai Filmworks as the marketing manager.
And I was like, ooh, better reason to buy now.
Where's Sentai Filmworks located at?
We're actually based out of Houston, Texas.
Okay. Do you guys, what's the company's like, purpose?
So we actually license shows from Japan and we bring it to the States and other areas around the world, and we localize them based off the area, and we subtitle and dub them. We also make them available on streaming services as well as home video. And we also do a lot of merchandising as well. With us today we got a bunch of t-shirts, we have hoodies, we got buttons, a little bit of everything.
Have you been to Milwaukee before?
Actually, no, this is our first time in Milwaukee. We're really excited to be here. Yeah. Yeah, we hope to come back next year too. It's been great.
I talked to the kid early, like last night about stuff. She was dressed up as the chick from Sword Art Online. Yeah, I think so.
Awesome.
Hello again.
That was our first.
Yeah.
Our next.
I was the one that told you guys that really awful joke.
Do you have any suggestions for people that are trying to get into voiceover acting?
Sure. Yeah, any sort of acting experience like classes, workshops, or if you're in a school program, take advantage of drama, because it's all valid stuff. You know, take an improv class, that's a huge help. Being able to cold read, you're going to have to be able to absorb material quickly, make an acting choice, stay committed to it, and also be flexible. Got to overcome shyness, got to overcome regional dialects really quickly. You don't have to be a jack of all trades, though. You know, just because you're a voice actor doesn't mean you have to have a million zany voices. The cartoon thing, I mean, there are if they want that, they're going to go to those people for that. But as an actor, you need to hone in on what your strengths are. If you know you're like Yuri Lowenthal gets hired a lot, and Johnny Young Bosch for their hero voice. That's usually who they play. They get these main roles because they're really solid actors, and that's what their age range, their vocal sound kind of matches that. So they're playing, you know, teenagers, 20-somethings, even though they're older than that, but their vocal range tends to lend itself, and their acting range tends to lend itself to that.
Chris Sabat told me years ago, and he's at this con too, when I first started directing the Lupin the Third movies, he said that what he's learned from directing is to really listen to your actor, and it might not be the read you have in your head, but if it works just as well, go with that. Because if it's not what's in your head, it's probably not cliched. Because the first thing that comes to your mind is going to be a cliche, something that, oh, this is how this should sound. Everybody knows how this should sound. But if somebody gives you something different that is not what you're expecting, but it works just as well, well, you've got something unique there. And that's going to give a nice color to that scene. So that's one thing I really listen for. And I encourage my actors to experiment. A lot of times we get what's called a wild take. And a wild take is when you record the line, at Funimation you have 3 beeps, deet, 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 and you say Kamehameha or whatever. Well, you could say your line and it's still recording. And while it's still recording, a lot of actors will try a different read. They've got the rhythm already because they just saw the mouth flaps. And they'll try, you know, maybe it'll sound better like this, you know. And some directors don't like that. They would rather you just do one read and then move on. I love that, and I tell them, please do that. Because you're going to come up with some, because you just got, okay, I got the basic idea of how this goes, but you're still in character, right? But when you stop the take and you have to start over, well, then the actor has to readjust and get back into character again. But he's still in character at that moment, so I really encourage that. And so my job is to listen to them and make sure it works. You know, if it works for the scene and it's something, then that goes.
I used to talk so much crap about Krillin.
What? How dare you, man?
Just it's
What's
'cause
wrong with you?
He has no nose. Like
No, he doesn't have a nose.
That was like the most.
Yeah.
That thing just.
The strongest human being on the planet has no nose.
Yeah. How long have you been doing this?
I started on Dragon Ball Z in the summer of 2000. So it's been a while.
Sheesh. I was 10.
Yeah. And getting on DBZ was my first big gig, and having Cartoon Network and just landing not only Gohan, but then the narrator took over that, and then people say, "You're my childhood." Next time on Dragon Ball Z, and like, what? And then they melt. So I often tell people that's the coolest superhero power ever. I just talk and people melt.
We're in near Dallas and Fort Worth, kind of in between Dallas and Fort Worth, in a place called Grapevine.
I was just down there last summer.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
We are like right outside DFW Airport.
What?
Okay.
Yeah. So if you land in DFW, you're like 4 miles from Funimation.
That's cool.
And which is good too, because we get a lot of dignitaries from Japan, who come in, stuff like that, so they can just get off the plane, come out and get the tour, and yeah, it's awesome.
Hiring interns.
Yeah, they're always looking for interns. Just look at Funimation.com, look up Funimation internships and see when they have openings.
Okay.
I think that they look for particular majors now. I'm not quite sure how that works. Hi, it's Sonny Strait. You need to watch Dave Andrews' media page.
Kamehameha, bitches!
Thank you.
You're welcome.